Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat. We took a little break. We want to wish you a happy new year. We got some news to break. And, it's a reference to someone that we brought up on last episodes.
She's the newest member of B2K.
Bump, bump, bump. And then we have a special episode with Jason Flom, founder and CEO of Lava Recordings. He ends the episode with a very special interview talking about a lot of interesting things regarding wrongful convictions and his Innocence Project. So let's get into it first with some news. There's a lot happening. We want to get to that. And then we have this incredible interview, so stay tuned.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Happy New Year, everybody. I got the Omarion.
You learned to dance?
Bump, bump, bump. 2 years of... I'd like to give a shout out for the last 2 years of avoiding SARS, COVID-19, novel coronavirus.
Yeah. You got to say it all in length.
The Delta variant. When it was all said and done, it was Omarion that got me.
You were waiting for hip hop.
Yeah, I'm more of a hardcore hip hop dude. Like, I'm not going to get hit with an airline.
Right. I get it.
So Sunday morning, I wake up and I knew it right away. Like, today's Tuesday. Sunday morning, I wake up and I felt a little off. And I've been sick for the last year, and it was very different types of sickness. Like, we had the stomach bug, I've had colds, and I was like, we haven't been around a whole lot of people. So I was like, fuck, this might be it. Wake up. We had already scheduled a test, a PCR test for our son's school, because everyone had to get tested before you can go back. So that was a few hours from the time we woke up, maybe 2 hours. And so I tell Haley, she's like, well, we're going to get tested. So as soon as we get home after the PCR, she's like, why don't we take the at-home rapid that we have? Positive. I was like, fuck. Then
did you start dancing like B2K?
Yes. At that moment, I was not listening to music. Not because I was overly concerned with my personal health, but I knew what that meant for the family. That meant Dominic couldn't go back to school this week. It meant there would be no nanny, no help from parents and in-laws and all that stuff, and we couldn't see anyone. So I knew what it meant. And luckily, they tested negative on the rapids. They got their PCR back. They were negative. I had a runny nose and I had a light body chill. I took a Tylenol and took a little nap, woke up, felt okay. I still had a pretty heavy runny nose. I didn't completely isolate because we needed to help the kids. So I wore an N95 around my face and helped wherever I could help. And then basically, tried to avoid them for most of the day. We got through the day. I went to sleep and woke up in the morning. No body ache, no chills, just a runny nose, a little tired. But it was Monday, so I was just working from home. And honestly, by the evening, I was pretty good. And then I woke up this morning and I could go for a run right now. I feel like 98%.
So I guess, did you go for a run?
No, because I'm not going to go outside. I don't want to be disrespectful from that standpoint.
Right.
What I did do, which, you can call it hocus pocus, do whatever you want. I drank a shitload of water. I took liquid IV. I took zinc. I took vitamin D. I went and stood in the sun in the backyard for 10, 15 minutes. I took all these different vitamins my wife was giving me. I got the booster last Wednesday, so who knows if that had any impact on why it was my experience. Obviously, I'm not out of it yet, but I feel okay. I feel fine. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get a negative test, but as of today, I'm pretty much asymptomatic. I don't have any symptoms. Like, I have no more runny nose. I'm not coughing.
What's the rule at school for negative test?
So basically, I think
because haven't they switched the guidelines like officially that even if because you could test positive for like weeks.
Yes. So there are. I think if you're asymptomatic and after 5 days of your first test, 5 or 7 days, I think, as long as you're asymptomatic, I think that's the key piece to it.
I want to point out there was a couple things I feel like have changed in the last 2 weeks with coronavirus, and Twitter, which is largely a liberal platform.
Yeah.
The chorus has changed.
Yeah.
And I think people are just like, you actually have to, like, here's like the pickle, right? Like, the other side was really wrong 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But they stood with that, like, kind of platform for so long until they were right.
It swung right. Now it's swung to their advantage.
Right. And, like, people, the hospitalizations aren't going up.
Yeah.
Everyone we know who has it has a very kind of cold flu-ish symptoms.
Yeah.
And you could see it on Twitter. You could see it. The New York Times even did an op-ed today, like, enough is enough with the schools. Just let these kids go to schools. Take the masks off at schools. Like, I mean, the New York Times, which is arguably the most liberal, like, platform we have, wrote an op-ed saying, like, you're ruining an entire generation.
Yeah, I think for kids particularly and schools, like, there's no data that has proven that it is affecting kids worse than any other sickness they have, being young people around each other all the time.
Yeah, I think, and it's been clear for the whole 2 years, but abundantly clear now. The only reason we even know kids have COVID in the hospital is because they're getting forced to test.
Yeah.
They're not in the hospital because of COVID.
Yeah.
And that's existed since 2020. But, you know, this is the problem, right? The Republican side is just going to run with this and take a victory lap. 1 million people died. Let's, like, be very clear. So we can't ignore that. Like, 1 million people are going to die because of this. But we also have to just evolve the way we, like, attack.
Yeah, the data changed. The impact has changed. Like, the sickness I experienced the last, call it 48, 72 hours is very different than the people that experienced in April of 2020.
100%.
And so
you're double vaxxed and triple vaxxed. Yeah. And that's why.
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to accept that part of it, right?
No, of course. And I think it's going to be very difficult the vaccination thing, like, is going to be a tougher thing, but I do see, like, more lines at vaccination points. I do see, I mean, testing business is absolutely bonkers. I heard some numbers of what maybe the local testing company, Same Day Health, is doing a week. It is nuts. But I think what's going to be the real test is some schools open this week in LA, the rest open next week. If these schools are doing homeschool next week, there's going to be, it'll be the downfall of many politicians. Yeah. I think for political reasons, you got to open up the fucking schools, no matter what.
I don't think, but, like, here's the thing no one wants to accept, because, you know, we identify as Democrats, but we're open to new ideas. And the new idea is basically your kid's not at risk.
Yeah.
And learning you saw, like, the reading and math are falling off a cliff with kids in the last 2 years. Like, this is an entire generation of education that's just, like, falling behind because we're not actually, like, letting these kids just go to school and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what happens. Look, I don't want anyone to get it. But my experience has been quite mild. But like I said, I'm triple vaxxed. relatively healthy person. And it was funny. There was a tweet that everyone's making fun of CNN that says that CDC recommends, it says that obesity is a challenge during COVID-19, suggests losing weight. Like I think the frustrating part for a lot of people is like, these are very obvious things. We never push the health narrative in the early days, like getting healthy. That's always a solution for so many things that are public health issues, but we never talk about those things. So whatever, I don't want to dwell on it. This is the first episode back from the year. Let's get into some real fucking news. Like Elizabeth Holmes.
Yep.
Her trial ended. The jury deliberated. I'm gonna have to say it's a very odd result. So okay. I think she was convicted on 4 charges of wire fraud.
Yeah, so she effectively got charged or convicted of all the financial crimes, but not the health crimes.
Yeah. And so, or even like defrauding investors, that wasn't clear. That's undecided. It's like, so ultimately she got like wire fraud, which I guess she got 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and then 2 counts of wire fraud. And then jury was unable to reach a verdict when deliberating on 3 counts related to defrauding individual investors. So she's yet to be sentenced. She can face a maximum of 20 years in prison on each count. We were discussing this early. How much time do you think she gets sentenced? And then how much time do you think she actually serves?
So I think she gets sentenced for north of 10 years.
You think she gets sentenced for north of 10 years? Okay. I say she gets sentenced for less than 5.
So if you think she's getting sentenced for less than 5, she's serving 18 months.
Yeah. I think she's raising a round of funding 2025.
SoftBank? Who's giving the money?
Who isn't? We know plenty of people who are questionable founders that can go raise money all the time. She was really good. She raised $945 million.
Yeah, she did.
And here's the conversation that's happening all over Silicon Valley and a lot of the newsletters we both read, and I'm sure you read the headlines. She made a promise that she was building a company and didn't deliver on the capabilities of it, right? That effectively happens every day in technology. People
probably 90% of companies.
Okay, yeah. You believe in a founder. They have the vision. Nobody has built anything when they get started. You just are betting on the fact that one day they'll be able to get there. And I think the challenge is that, I saw an SEC quote from a SEC commissioner and kind of questioned, you can't be investing to things that aren't real, but that's the entire industry. Yep. We're investing on the potential of something. And look, over time, if it pans out that it doesn't work, that is the investor's risk, right? Like these are professionals. They made a mistake. And, unfortunately, there's LPs, the top of pension funds, that lost money in this. But I would look at the horizon of investing over, 10 years, and these funds, they probably are still positive. And
probably, they absolutely are.
Yeah. So ultimately, like as an industry, I don't think it's fair to say like, hey, you can't invest in the hope that they may build something. That is the entire idea. We're hoping that you figure some shit out.
Yeah, I mean, most Silicon Valley companies are basically a promise of the improbable. Yeah. And you make money on the improbable events that this founder did something improbable.
Yeah.
And every windfall that you name it, from Airbnb, Uber, Coinbase, like you name all these companies, those are all improbable. Like we're going to jump in a car and someone's just going to take us somewhere. Like that was inconceivable 15 years ago. And we're just going to go be at a stranger's house in Amsterdam and like book it on the internet. That was all inconceivable.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was saying, so like that is part of the kind of magic of Silicon Valley. You have these founders that are dreaming of these like disruptive behaviors that are going to change society. Tesla's the same thing. Like all of the like great companies that we've seen, Amazon, obviously.
Yeah, Amazon was losing money for like 2 decades, and then one day they did the improbable, turned a profit, and haven't looked back.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine a family that even a middle class family and up to live a life without Amazon today?
Yeah,
it would be like, oh my God, I have to get in the car with 2 kids and drive to the grocery market and grab shit and like.
Yeah, and I think investors stomached enormous losses in the hope that this guy knew what he was doing. In the case of Elizabeth Holmes, it proved she didn't know what she was doing, and it was a fraud.
The problem was the health, right? That was the aspect. She was falsifying data.
Yeah, exactly. And
I think she got in trouble because she was falsifying data that affected health.
Got it. So if you think
plenty of founders that falsify data. I mean, WeWork was the perfect example. They falsified everything, but it was real estate, so no one gave a shit.
And then he got a SPAC.
Yeah, and he SPAC'd and he walked away with like $1 billion, $2 billion, and like
So
because it was help.
Speaking of founders, I think one that had an incredible New Year's was Jeff Bezos. We talked about it last week. He was shirtless on a boat, looking fabulous in St. Bart's, and then he posts a New Year's Eve picture with his girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. And, you know, I saw a lot of memes about this outfit. I don't know if you saw this picture.
I loved it.
So I saw 2 that I thought were hilarious. One said, "This looks like every couple in Scottsdale."
Oh, wow.
Yes.
A Scottsdale jab.
Yes. 2 was, "Hey, I sell condos in Fort Lauderdale."
That's really good.
He was wearing a Casablanca shirt. It's like a $1,200 luxury brand. It's actually an incredible brand.
Streetwear brand.
Yeah, it's streetwear luxury. Yeah,
he must have a stylist.
Yeah,
how is he figuring out what Casablanca is?
I mean, it's in all the expensive stores. He's just like, "Give me the most expensive shirt, $1,200. I'll take it." But quite the outfit. His sunglasses had like a hearts to it. Here's a guy that doesn't give 2 fucks.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because this is where I'm trying to reconcile, because I get it. He divorced his wife. He is just like, fuck it, I'm just going to live however I want to live. But a lot of people who do that, of his like stature, do it privately.
Yeah.
What's motivating him to do it publicly?
Maybe his girlfriend.
So you think his girlfriend's making him post?
No, but maybe the girlfriend.
We gotta be official. We gotta be on the gram. That's a thing. Being on the gram is official.
And maybe it's the idea that like he has the confidence now to have this sense of style. I think it's just confidence. Like you could be rich and still not have confidence. He became very wealthy. He obviously ended up getting divorced, and he's probably living this fantasy life that he didn't get to live 30 years ago, right? We've seen pictures of him when he was, a guy in Wall Street starting his business. That's not the same dude. It's a different dude.
Yeah, I guess what's the urge to post?
YOLO. You live. I'm a changed man.
Like I'm a boss. Like I'm buff as shit.
Yeah.
I've got this girlfriend. I'm hanging out with her ex-husband
I could do whatever I want, and I'm going to look like a condo salesman from Fort Lauderdale and look like $1 million. Oh, no, $100 million. $100 million. Oh my God. I mean, just unbelievable.
I get like living life and doing like everyone's got to do you, but I'm just curious why he's posting.
It's unbelievable. I love it.
I mean, it's great for us. We love it. But I don't get what, like, I mean, we always joke about, like, when you make enough money, you can just delete social media and never be seen.
But that's not today's climate anymore. Elon Musk is posting more than ever. Jeff Bezos is posting. These are the two of the richest men in the world. They are the two richest men in the world. And they are on social media. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have posted more than the two of us combined in the last year.
100%. And done more. They haven't done more podcasts because we do 3 a week, but they've definitely been in the public sphere.
Everything from social media, they're very, very active. Whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, they're just everywhere. And I think that's just a testament to this environment. Like, everyone's public all the time. No one's private. Unless you're like from a different era, you're not doing that. Like, you're out there. You're showing your outfit, your tight, skinny white jeans in St. Bart's.
Yeah, I mean, geez, he's definitely like shocked me in the sense that how public he is about his gallivanting. I mean, I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. You're worth whatever you are, and you've figured out whatever you have with your family and your kids, and hopefully it's all kosher. But like, it's interesting to be public.
Yeah, I mean, and then the next topic is talking about Warren Buffett, who is, I would say, considering his age, he's mildly public still. Like, he's still out making comments and statements. He's obviously not on the gram posting his New Year's Eve outfit, but, he also ain't the same age as Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Yeah, isn't he like 90?
Yeah, he's probably late 80s, maybe 90 years old. And the reason why I'm bringing him up, this guy, like, we like to joke about the old guard, but there's something about the old guard that understands how to allocate capital, large amounts of capital, extremely efficient. And Warren Buffett made over $120 billion on Apple's rise, to which is now, today the stock went down a little, but briefly on Monday, Apple's market cap hit $3 trillion. I remember just talking about it the other day that it was $1 trillion. And now it is effectively a $3 trillion company. So Warren Buffett has a 5% stake in Apple that he acquired in 2018 for $36 billion. It is now worth $160 billion. And then he's quietly collecting $775 million in dividends annually.
So 2 things. One, it sounds like you owe Tim a check.
Well, I haven't sold yet. we're up 60% now.
Woo!
Yeah.
And number 2, it shows like 2018 felt late to the tech party.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it felt like he admittedly was like, I don't understand technology.
Yeah.
He missed on Facebook. He missed on Google. He missed on everything. And he was like, all right, I'll make a bet on Apple.
Yeah.
And look at the windfall he made.
It's insane. And I think the other thing is like, here's the thing that I think people, younger investors, don't understand is when you have a winning horse, you keep doubling down on it.
Let your winners ride. That's like the mantra.
Yeah, and I think and the other thing is you have to understand Warren Buffett's in a much different position than a lot of other folks. The volume of capital that he has to allocate, he can't write $500 million, $1 billion checks. It's not possible.
No, of course not.
So he needs to go put massive amounts of money to work. And there's just not a lot of places to do it. And if you look at Apple's economics, their growth, their profitability, their moat in the industry, this is prototypical Warren Buffett, like why he invested in the railroads. There's no more railroads ever going to be built. Like, it's a monopoly, basically.
Yeah.
And I would argue that basically the iPhone for the considerable future is the railroad for the internet. And it's not going to get...
It's a good analogy. It is the railroad for the internet. It's the on-ramp for basically everyone who wants to participate in the web.
On both sides, businesses and individuals. And I think that business, people are saying the services side of Apple is worth $1.5 trillion. The services side.
But it also, doesn't it make you realize like investing isn't as hard as people want to make it out to be? Well,
that's the problem is you know why? That's the Robin Hood generation, right? Like, you're in and out. You're in and out. If you actually just, like, if you were starting investing today and you blindly just put in Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, you will make money over the next 10 years.
100%. Like, without doubt.
Yeah, without doubt. So instead, we're going to go.
Like, it said you're going to go trade, like, fucking a mutant NFT. Try and, like.
Yeah, you're going to trade in and out of crypto. You're going to wait for some weird airdrop. You're going to go do options. You're going to go read some bullshit you heard on Reddit. And what you should be doing is just quietly dripping money. Because here's the thing. 99% of the people listening to this right now don't have the time and the resources to sit and watch their investments 24 hours a day. And by the way, there's a thing that came out. Hedge funds who do this for a living, 90% got outperformed by S&P 500.
Yep.
And so even that tells you that, like, you really struggle on, like, investing is a lot simpler than we actually believe it is. Like, hedge funds gained an average of 8.7% from January to November of 2021. In that same time period, S&P 500 did 24%. These are people that get paid tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to trade your money, and they got tripled by the S&P 500.
Yeah, they get 2% of your capital and 20% of your profits.
Yeah,
that's this group.
Yes, and I think that also shows the rise of, like, the retail trader. Like, you don't need to invest in a fund. You don't just invest in the best companies in the world. And if you don't know what they are, go look at the market cap. Because my guess, these companies are not going anywhere. I don't think it's going to be like 10 years ago. Like, Microsoft was still one of the largest companies in the world, and they now are the largest on any given day. Specifically, these cutting edge technology companies, they may not grow at the same pace they grew the last 20 years, but the next 10 years or next 20 years, they're still going to grow, and they're going to be safer bets for most of our investments.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, pretty simply, like, look, this is not investment advice. Look at the IP Disney owns.
Yeah. Right?
They own Marvel.
Yeah.
What other movie produces box office revenue other than Marvel revenue? Marvel movies.
Star Wars. Yeah, they own Star Wars too.
Star Wars. And, like, do you think in 20 years Disney's going to be able to, like, go up? Probably.
Yeah, probably. That's a good investment advice. Probably.
Yeah, it's, like, just safe. Like, you're not going to 10x, but, like, it's better than keeping it in, like, a checking account.
Yeah, it's true. And I think people overthink it. Just, it's patience. I think a lot of it is patience. You've always been a very patient person with your investments. You found what you loved and you stayed in it. And I think if you're new to the game, there's a way to make a lot of money and not do too much work. I mean,
and you don't need to be an insider. You don't need to be an insider. Like, do you think Amazon's going to be bigger in 10 years or smaller in 10 years?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you don't need to be a genius to have conviction on that.
Yeah, even if you take just take 2021. I think Apple did like 56%. Bitcoin did 60%. Apple's not far behind. Anyone has access to Apple. A dummy can buy Apple. Even if you don't know how to buy Bitcoin, you could have bought Apple.
Right.
So it's quite interesting, and I think it'll be
like, do you think anyone else is going to deliver packages as quickly as Amazon in the next 10 years?
No.
There you go.
All right, moving on. Here's something that I didn't realize hadn't been dethroned ever, or at least in the last 90 years. General Motors was America's largest automaker for nearly a century. So nearly 90 years. It was the number one automaker in America. Guess who is number one now?
Whew. Can't call it. Who is it?
Toyota.
Really?
Yeah. Which, I thought it would be a Ford, but it's Toyota. Toyota is the number one automaker in America. I think they sold like nearly 2.3 million cars. GM reported about 114,000 cars less. So, both doing monster business. Pretty interesting. So it's basically the Camry, right? Like, that's the car everyone's driving, Camry and Corolla. Like, I guess Toyota has the van, right? Sienna.
Right? They have the Prius, right?
Oh, the Prius, yeah. Wow. They have big cars.
Yeah.
So they have the Camry, the Corolla, the Prius, the Sienna.
Think about it. If an Uber X picks you up, it's a Toyota. It's either a Corolla, Camry, or Prius.
Yeah. That's wild. Yeah.